Welcome, Quimby Lobos. We are so excited to have you here today for your first ever virtual Student Expectation Assembly. What we're going to go ahead and cover today with you guys virtually are covered in three sections. The first one is things to know, the second is rules and expectations, and the third is all things distance learning. So to get us started in our first section, it's things to know. These are things that you would want to know about our staff and school-wide initiatives. So first and foremost, I want to introduce myself. I hope by now all of you do know me, but if you don't, my name is Miss Ginger George and I am your school principal. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today and to tell you a little bit about myself. So some things that I'm holding strong to, committing myself to you guys this year are listed on the screen. One thing I want to commit to is establishing clear lines of communication with both students and parents. So make sure, students, you guys are checking your emails daily for emails that come from myself as well as other staff. The second thing is I want to create an engaged community. I want to make sure you are engaged in the learning that is taking place in your classrooms. The third one is to create a typical middle school experience. Obviously, through distance learning, we won't be able to have the real middle school experience, but we're trying to get it as close as possible. And one thing that you're participating in today that we would have if we were in-person learning is having an expectation assembly. So here we are. And the last thing is that I want to be an equity advocate for all students and their families. So I'm your biggest cheerleader. I am here on your side, and I am cheering and rooting for each and every one of you.
How's it going, guys? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mr. Stoll, and I'm one of the assistant principals here. I do have a lot of things that I work with. One of the big things that I do is I work with LSI, making sure that I support all of our students and staff. I also am the one in charge of SARB and attendance. So if you're not making it to class all the time, you're going to be hearing from me. Hopefully that won't be the case. I'm sure y'all are coming all the time. I also work with all of our students that are in our special services program. I also am the leadership advisor, so I work with Mr. Pham and Mr. Fujimoto for our leadership class. I'm also the go-to for all of our LCP 8th grade students. So if you are an LCP 8th grade student, you guys come to me if you're having anything that you're worried about. We're worried about grades, anything that happens during the school year, I'm your go-to.
Good afternoon, Lobos. My name is Jamie Hammond, and I'm one of your assistant principals. And some of the things that I oversee in my role as assistant principal are 7th grade LCP student services. So much like Mr. Stolen just said for 8th grade, if there's any concerns that you have regarding your academics or other matters, please contact me for 7th grade. Also, I coordinate for the ELD program, and I am the Lobos Ignite coordinator. I oversee various committees like the DLAC, ELAC, and the ILT. School site council as well. We're going to have our first meeting very soon. Power School and parent portal support. I'm your go-to for that. And then I work with our PTSA, who is greatly appreciated and support everything that we do here at Quimby Oak. And I'm in charge of safety implementation procedures and training and honors and mandatory retention. So good to see you guys today.
And I'm Mrs. Braga. I'm the school counselor. I am your resource for all academic counseling support, as well as brief mental health counseling, making sure that I can help meet your social emotional needs, as well as the rest of our staff. I can help with, and I'm passionate about, college and career planning. There's a way to sign up to meet with me, and we'll look at that a little bit later. I also do second step curriculum support for teachers, so that's those lessons that we learn about on Wednesdays. And that's all.
All right, so to review our 7th grade teacher teams, in Team 10 on the LCP side, we have Miss Herbert, Mr. Wilbon, Miss Boyle, and Miss Connect. On Team 20, we have Miss Hernandez, Mr. Garcia, Miss Gupta, Miss Louie. And lastly, on the LSI Team 30, we have Mr. Trinidad, Mr. Rivas, Mrs. Sutton, Mrs. Nomura, Mr. Haraki, and Miss Jaspal. Please get to know your teachers, 7th grade students. They are wonderful advocates for your learning, and they're here to help.
For our 8th grade teacher teams, we've got our 3 teacher teams. For Team 100, that's Miss Nguyen, Mr. Bryan, Mrs. Menon, and Miss Peralta. For Team 200, you have Miss Behair, Mr. Green, Mr. Lamb, and Miss McSween. And then lastly, for Team 300, which is our LSI 8th grade cohort, that is Miss Strachey and Miss Gingrich, Miss Lamb and Mrs. Whiteman, as well as Miss Robinson and Mr. Neeser. Please note that for our LCP 7th and 8th grade teams, your math teacher may be off team, so you may be on Team 100 but have Miss McSween, or you may be on Team 20 and have Miss Connect, but that's okay. That's perfectly normal, but we want to make sure that you know who your teachers are and that you all share the same set of teachers.
We also have our other teacher departments, which is PE. So we have Mr. Spangler, Miss Jackson, Mr. Ascanis, Miss Ferrari, and Mr. Luna. For electives, we have Mr. Ortega, Miss Gill, Mr. Fujimoto, and Mr. Pham. And then for special services, we have Miss Alvarez, Miss Hahn, Miss Sandanya, Miss Jonathans, and Miss Crass.
So to go ahead and get us started today, we wanted to bring to you Quimby Oaks vision and mission statement. Our vision statement says that we are aspiring young minds to be thoughtful and resilient contributors to society. And our mission statement says Quimby Oak Middle School empowers young minds to be proactive, lifelong learners who think critically and communicate effectively. In your time at Quimby Oak Middle School, we hope that you are constantly striving to fulfill the vision and mission of our school and that you take it unto the world beyond. But these two principles wouldn't be here without our Quimby foundations. The 5 foundations of Quimby are listed on the screen below. To build strong, respectful relationships with students and as a staff. To uphold the implementation of restorative justice practice with students, and we refer to it as PBIS. To push professional growth mindset and flexibility of practice and problem solving. To strengthen the development of rigorous and far-reaching learning experiences for students, and to reflect regularly on the profile of a learner and to align to the Quimby Oak Middle School vision and mission. Most importantly, this year, while in distance learning, we really want you to focus on 2 of our foundations. In a digital environment, we want you to build strong, respectful relationships with your peers and with your teachers. It's really important because we are not in face-to-face learning that you take this time to really build those connections with others. And the second one is to push professional growth mindset and flexibility of practice and problem solving. So again, in a digital environment, a lot of this stuff is new to both our students and our staff. So we ask that you have a growth mindset and try to overcome any obstacle that's put in your way.
As a Quimby student, we strive towards our attitudes and actions to follow our Lobos values. It includes being a leader, being open-minded, being respectful, owning your choices, and being studious. We do have examples of what these values look like when we're at in-person school. However, we have adjusted examples and expectations to a distance learning format. Here is our distance learning PBIS chart. These are our current specifics about our positive expected Lobos behavior. Actions of a leader, being open-minded, being respectful, owning your choices, and being studious have now shifted into taking care of yourself, taking care of others, and taking care of business. We sorted specific behaviors and attitudes based on distance learning in general, your lessons, or rather your class periods and blocks, and the category of technology. As Quimby staff, we continue to recognize you, our students, for your awesomeness. So how do we recognize you for your positive Lobos values? Quimby has these positive behavior forms called KATYAs. When we're in at-person school, we have our KATYAs form that a Quimby staff would fill out with your name and which value you displayed. You would then write in what you did and you would be recognized with a KATYA. Then we trade in our KATYA for a Lobo Buck. Your Lobo Bucks are able to buy things at our Lobo Locker. This would be on campus and open during lunch and break. However, with distance learning, KATYAs have gone digital. All Quimby staff can use our online system to reward students for a KATYA. These turn into letters, and the letters go home to recognize you for your fantastic Lobos value action, along with a prize. Soon, parents and guardians will be able to recognize you with KATYAs for being awesome at home.
All right, there's a lot of really important information that we share through our website. You'll see it in our news feed. You'll also have information about distance learning. You can find a schedule, get any questions that you need. If you need a resource, the place to go is the website, quimby-oak.eesd.org. One of the things we want to make sure that we highlight on the website is the virtual tour. We actually had somebody come by who does like the house tour so you can see what houses are like. And we did that for our school. We wanted to make sure you guys knew what all your classrooms would look like if we were here in person. Make sure you know what the gym is, where the student center is, make sure that you know how to get around campus and where your classes might be. So we wanted you to still have that experience, so you can find that in the virtual tour. So look for that on the website.
Okay, for our second section of today's Rules and Expectations Assembly, we're going to be talking about just that, rules and expectations. So please make sure you're listening. First, distance learning school day. We start every school day at 9 a.m. and that starts our advisory class. As you know, we have 3 blocks of 80-minute classes each day, except Wednesday, where we're on a little bit of a different schedule. You are expected to attend each block for the whole time, and we ask that you have your cameras on. Your teachers are getting to know you. They're putting names with faces. They want to see you there. They want to know if you're understanding the lesson. And most importantly, they need to know that it is in fact you attending their class. So it's really important. Please keep those cameras on. Advisory. So we start each school day with our advisory class and with our advisory teacher at 9 a.m. And we have certain days that are set aside for specific lessons. So on Wednesdays, for instance, we have our Second Step Wednesdays, which covers our social and emotional learning lessons. And on Thursdays, we have our PBIS Thursdays, where we learn about positive behavior intervention systems, and also some uplifting messages are shared and more. So this is a really exciting class for us to have this year, and it's not optional. So please make sure that you know that attendance is being tracked and parent phone calls are being made for non-attendance. And attendance contracts will be made in severe absentee cases. So please show up. Advisory is really important, and it supports you as a whole person, not just for your academics, but to make sure that you're well-rounded. So be there or be square. And you should be very familiar with this document. You can find it on the website. This is the LCP weekly schedule. And so please refer to that on the website if you need a reminder. But at this point, I'm pretty sure you're experts in this area.
Just like our LCP experts, our LSI experts should also know what their schedule is like and how their block should be used, making sure that you're using all those class times. Make sure you note that Wednesday, just because classes end at 9:45 doesn't mean you're done for the day. You should have independent work that you should be working on throughout the day for both LSI and LCP. If you need to miss school for any reason, we need you to have your parents call the attendance office each day, just like you would if you were in person. If you're going to be out for more than 5 days, please make sure you get some kind of doctor's note so that we can note it for the attendance purposes. And make sure you let your teachers know that you're going to be absent by email too, just so they have a record that you are going to be out. Don't just assume that someone's going to tell your teacher why you were out. So make sure that you shoot that email off. When we are in person, the tardy policy is going to look a little bit different. However, in distance learning, that doesn't mean we don't track tardies. Tardies are very important, and it's part of the Ed Code that we have to follow as part of being a school. The Ed Code actually defines this. I'm going to read a little bit. I know it's a little long, but it's important that you guys understand. A pupil who is absent from school without a valid excuse for 3 full days in one school year, or is tardy or absent for more than a 30-minute period during the school day without a valid excuse on 3 separate occasions, are going to be classified as something called truant, and you're going to be reported to the attendance supervisor or the superintendent of the school district. All that means is that if you are absent or tardy excessively, we have to go through something called the SARB process. It is a way for us to review your absences, figure out what we can do to support you to be back in class, because being in class is part of the law. So just make sure that you are not absent, and also make sure that you get to class on time, because if you miss or you're absent too much, you're going to fall into the same policies. Now, if you do have to come on campus for any reason, we ask two things of you. One, make sure you wear a mask. Put your mask on, keep everybody safe. Anytime you're on campus, you need to make sure you have a mask on. And then also, if you can, please call ahead. Let us know why you're coming by, so that way we can make sure that we have everything ready for you so we can get you in and out of campus as fast as possible. Another important part of distance learning and regular school as well is having academic integrity. Any copying, plagiarizing, cheating, giving your work to others are all forms of academic integrity, and it's actually stealing the intellectual property of others. Because you're doing a lot of your work in Google accounts that's run by the district, we do make sure that we keep track of our Google accounts and make sure that you're not sharing anything you're not supposed to, as well as making sure that you're not breaking into someone else's account to be able to access their work. So please make sure you are using your Google accounts and your technology for good and not for evil. If we do catch some academic integrity, you could have a variety of consequences, including zeros on the assignments, referral to myself or Ms. Hammond. We're probably going to have to let your parents know, and if there's enough cases, we may have to have you do alternative work from the rest of the class because we need you to make sure that you're working individually, and we don't want that. We want to make sure that you're having your normal school experience. Couple other reminders: while you are in class, we want to make sure that we're using our phones appropriately. Don't just take out your phone and start texting your friends in the middle of class. That's not okay. You should only be having your phone out if a teacher is giving you something specific to do. We're playing a Kahoot game, and I want to be able to play on your phone. If you need to look up something that you can't look up on your computer, the teacher needs to give you explicit permission. Otherwise, your phone needs to be put away. The other reminder is about wearing appropriate clothes. I know we're all at home. It's really easy to be comfortable, but you should make sure that you're dressed for learning during class time. Don't be in your pajamas. Don't wear anything you wouldn't normally wear to school. Please make sure that you are in front of the camera wearing appropriate clothing and you're ready to learn.
All right, so now we're on to some California laws, and I'll talk about ones that apply to in-person learning as well as ones that apply to distance learning. So a lot of the ones we're going to start off with, they do apply to in-person learning as well as distance learning. More importantly, we just want you to be aware that when you are on camera, you are considered in school, so you shouldn't be doing any of this stuff at home either. So number one, we talked about already about attending school punctually and regularly. It is important to show up to school on time daily. It is a California law. The second one, cannot possess, sell, or otherwise furnish firearms, knives, explosives, or any other dangerous objects. You shouldn't be using those at home while you're on camera, as well as bring those to school in person. No smoking or possession of tobacco. And also the use, possession, or being under the influence of any controlled substance, intoxicant, or alcoholic beverage is also against Ed Code. It is important that you not only follow these rules while at school in person, but also that you are following them at home while you're at school in distance learning. The next one says that you cannot destroy in any way or injure public or private property. So I know a lot of you have checked out or are borrowing some school devices or textbooks, so that applies to all that. Do not damage them. If accidents do happen, it's important that you report that to us immediately. You want to reach out to your assistant principal and let them know if something did happen to any technology or textbook that you are borrowing. You cannot steal or attempt to steal at school or any personal property. Like Mr. Stolen said earlier, that also means their intellectual property, which is their work, or other students' assignments, or their identity. It is illegal to steal somebody's identity as well. Lastly, all forms of fighting, including play fighting or conspiracies to fight, go against California law. This also in a digital environment, as well as in person, means that there should be no fighting on any form of social media as well. One really, really important one for distance learning is Ed Code section 51512. This one's really important because it is unlawful to use a listening or recording device in any classroom without prior consent. Your teachers can record class calls, but students cannot record them. So if you are taking out a phone and taking a picture of your screen, and there's students in the picture, they did not give you permission, it is breaking Ed Code 51512. Also, recording a class call and posting it on your TikTok, your Snapchat, things like that, you do not have permission and it is breaking ed code. So again, only teachers have permission to record any of the class calls while in distance learning.
Textbooks, you should have all of your textbooks at this point. If you don't, make sure we get them quick. But make sure wherever they are, you keep them in a safe spot throughout the year. All of your textbooks need to be returned in the exact same state that you got them. So if the textbooks were all in one piece, we expect them all to be in one piece when they get back. If anything does happen to your textbooks, we'll work with Ms. Marsh and come up with a solution. So make sure you're prepared for that. One of the important things about being an 8th grader is that we have our promotion ceremony at the end of the year. For this year, it is June 9th, 2021. For our 7th graders, obviously you're not going through promotion this year, but it's good to know about the requirements so that way you guys can use this as a practice year and make sure that you will qualify next year as 8th graders. For our 8th graders, you need to maintain a cumulative GPA of 1.5 overall. I'm going to say that again, a cumulative 1.5 GPA. This means that your grade point average needs to be overall a 1.5, not just in the 4th quarter, not just in the 1st quarter. They need to work out to be 1.5 or higher. Now, if you get below a 1.5 one quarter, that doesn't mean you're done. It just means that you're going to have to get some extra points to offset the fact that you were a little bit under one quarter. Your advisory teachers can help you calculate this. Ms. Braga works really closely and can help you calculate this. We want to make sure that everybody qualifies. It's not only about your GPA. You have 2 other things that we really look at. We want to make sure that you're attending class regularly. We want to make sure that you're coming to all your classes and not just showing up once a week. You got to show up to all your classes. And we want to make sure that we're not having a lot of discipline issues. We don't want to have anything impact your ability to participate. You guys all work very hard to have this special moment, and I would hate for something of a discipline nature to impact your ability to participate in promotion at the end of the year. One of the other exciting things about being at a middle school is that we have our valedictorian and our salutatorian that we recognize every year. This is the ultimate academic honor, and its determination will be used a variety of criteria. We look at the top grades and citizenship marks for both your 7th and 8th grade years. So 7th graders, if you are interested in being the valedictorian or salutatorian, your 7th grade grades are really important because we've had some where the tiebreak is we've had the same number of A's and we've had to go from 8th grade, look at all the 7th grade. Every grade matters. So this is something that's important to you. Make sure that you're working really hard right now to maintain those highest grades you possibly can. The other things that we look at are test scores, benchmark assessments, end of year assessments, final exams, citizenship, discipline record. We also talk to your teachers. If it really gets that far, we want to make sure that our valedictorian and our salutatorian represent all of our Lobo values and everything we want our Lobo graduates to be.
All right, for our 3rd and final part of our expectation assembly, we're on all things distance learning. So to start us off, just as a reminder, again, it has already been stated in our presentation that all students need to be seated with camera on for the full duration of their class. We ask that students don't just show their eyeballs and that they don't show the side of their face, that they're actually facing the camera with their full face showing. It is an expectation of all of our Quimby Lobos to be facing the camera and having their cameras on in every single one of their classes. We ask that you stay until the class is dismissed, so no leaving early unless it's already been prearranged with the teacher if you have an appointment, a counseling session, or so on and so forth, but you need to make sure that you are staying on the full duration of the class unless you have already notified the teacher. Leaving early to us is like you're ditching school, so make sure to stay the entire time. If you happen to miss a class for whatever reason, it is your responsibility as students. You're in middle school now. It is your responsibility to reach out to the teacher and ask what it is that you missed so that you can ensure to make up the assignments and get the work turned in. If you are having tech problems and that has caused you to miss class, we ask that you notify both the teacher and the school. And when I say the school, I specifically mean Miss Pinter. The reason we need you to reach out to your teacher and Miss Pinter is so that they can correct the absence and they can provide you with the work that you missed due to a technical glitch.
You have to be engaged in class. It's not enough just to be there. Students are expected to participate in class. So this means turning off your phone, staying off social media, staying off any games, and especially the group chat Discord. It is not enough to be there physically on screen. You need to be there mentally as well and be engaged in your learning and participating in your classes. Do not have multiple screens up. Please be sure that you're looking straight ahead, as Miss George just said. Look straight at your camera. Teachers are growing a little bit tired of teaching to the side of your face. It's very obvious that you're looking at a different screen or you're not engaged. So please make sure that you're adjusting your camera as well, so that teachers are not teaching to the tops of your foreheads or just pieces of your face. They want to see your whole face. So please make those adjustments in your work. Additionally, teachers are tracking your engagement in your classes daily. So please know that we are getting a record of whether or not you are engaged in class, and we are going to be following up with the students who are not engaged and working to get you re-engaged in class. So please make sure, if you're putting in the time to be there, participate, be engaged, ask questions, get involved in your learning. Also, you want to make sure that you are submitting your work. Keep track of your deadlines, submit your work, and let your teacher know if you're having trouble submitting it. Be proactive, be communicative with your teacher, be your own advocate for your own education, ask questions, get clarifying answers, and make sure that you're problem solving and persevering and having a growth mindset. So please be proactive in communicating with your teachers and making sure that you submit your work. And for PE and distance learning, it's very similar to PE in person. And that is that you need to make sure that you're wearing clothes that you can exercise in. They're going to get sweaty, so you want to make sure that you have clothes that you're okay to do that in. And you're going to be wearing those to your PE period. You're going to have a clear space around you, at least 5 feet around you, so that you can do all of your exercises safely and have enough room to move. And again, if we haven't said it before, cameras need to be on. Your teachers do not know that you are doing any type of physical activity if they can't see you. So please make sure that your camera is on. They want to see that you're actively getting those heart rates up in PE and engaged in those various activities that you're doing in PE class. So please, again, have your cameras on.
All right, the next section is a little more serious, but it's really important. So all of our students, please make sure you're paying attention. While in person, but especially on distance learning, there is a zero tolerance policy for any form of discrimination or harassment. This includes, but is not limited to, harassment or discrimination around religion, race, gender, or sexual orientation. We want school and we strive for Quimby Oak to be as inclusive as possible, and we want our environment, our digital environment, as well as our in-person environment to be free from discrimination and harassment. Violation of any of these policies will result in disciplinary action. That means that online in chat rooms, online in your Google Docs, in your classes, anywhere that you are not being discriminatory or harassing other students. One that I would like to specifically talk about is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment of any student by another student is strictly prohibited. So again, if you're on social media, a chat room, sending pictures, sending memes, things like that, there is a zero tolerance policy. We do not stand for it, and any violation of this will have immediate disciplinary action. Please know in the bottom of the screen, it talks about being a good digital citizen. So you need to be responsible with your digital footprint. You need to have safety at the forefront of your mind every time that you are online. Be aware that anything you type can always be tied back to you. People can take screenshots. People can send emails. Everything is tied back to an individual person who made the choice to send it. Kindness really counts. So we ask and expect all of our students at Quimby to be kind citizens to each other.
On the theme of safety, be safe, tell someone. This is where much of our rules come from in terms of being safe. If you're worried about a classmate, yourself, or a situation at Quimby, please use our Lowell helpline. It is anonymous so that you do not have to leave your name at all. You're able to report the concern and it alerts our admin. Our administration and myself will figure out the best way to help and address the concern. You can find the Lowell helpline on our school website under the Student Supports tab or use the website link quimbyoak.eesd.org/Lowell help. Complaints. Some issues or situations can occur. Please contact our main office or email your assistant principal about the complaint. The Quimby counselor, so myself and the admin team, will investigate all complaints we receive and try our best to resolve them. There are protocols in place and procedures in place to address each complaint that comes into the office. Need help? Check in with the teacher. If they let you in early, you could check in then. You could check in after class or even send them an email, or if they have office hours, you can go and talk to them then. You can always reach out to me through an email or even look at my page on the Quimby website under the Student Services tab. If you click Counseling, my Bitmoji Classroom appears. It has several links to things, including my Calendly website. The website allows you to make a meeting with me. Please pick a lunchtime, after school time, or the last half of your PE or elective class. Lastly, you can always contact your assistant principal or even Principal George. We want you to know that there are many people here at Quimby that are here for you.
So, in order to keep a typical middle school experience, we ask that you follow us on all our social media platforms. This is the way that we get out all the different messages to our greater Quimby community. On Instagram, our handle is @QuimbyOakLobos. On TikTok, @QuimbyOakLobos. If you'd like to follow us on our YouTube channel, it's Quimby Oak Middle School. And for those of you who are on Facebook or your families, your parents are on Facebook, ask them to go ahead and follow Quimby Oak Middle School. So we definitely wanted to wrap up today and say thank you so much for attending our first virtual expectations assembly. We will have a second one coming later in the year, just as reminders, but we are so excited that you were able to join us. We hope that you learned something new today, and we just wanted to set the year up for success.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having us here.
Bye, Lobos.
And remember, go Lobos! Bye, Lobos!